Hey everybody, my name is Benny, nice to meet you. I'm from Vancouver, Canada, so go Canada. We got a bunch of the team members here that flew in, and we're here to represent the great North. So yeah, I'm here to talk about time, the internet, and NPCs. Big topics. I mean, you've been here at Fest all day long, you've been hearing about on-chain, Web3, NFTs. So I'm here to just tell you the same things over and over and over again. So if you want to go out, I won't judge you. But I have some interesting things to talk to you about. Cool. So this is me. I was a child at one point in my life. I am no longer a child. I am a grown-up now. But yeah, I'm a co-founder of Future Primitive. We are a protocol company. My background, I've been building startups since 2015. As part of Y Combinator Startup School. I was one of the co-founders of CryptoKitties. I was a contributor to ERC 721. So whenever you hear the word NFTs, that was me and the team in Vancouver. That term was coined by us, which is super cool. I was employee number 13 at Dapper Labs, and I worked on NBA Top Shot on the product side. So it's been a really interesting journey of 6 years of NFTs. And I'm here to talk to you about really big topics. Kind of mentioned already, Future Primitive is a protocol company, and what we really focus on is building new human relationships among objects, networks, and narratives. So it's as simple as that. I mean, I think Web3, crypto, blockchain, whatever, it's all about those three things: objects, networks, and narratives. So let's talk about Future Primitive. So Future Primitive was co-founded by me and Steve Jang. Steve Jang's based in the Bay Area. He's a partner of Kindred Ventures. And woo, I heard the woo in the background. So the really cool thing is Future Primitive started off as a record label or an art movement, or it focused a lot on turntables. So it actually, in 1998, it was a really famous thing called Sound Sessions. You could Google it. And now Future Primitive was reborn about 1.5 years ago started off as an on-chain product studio, and now we're focusing on being a protocol company. So 25 years, it's been a while. Whew. Cool, so how do I think about culture? Culture is the compounding of human experiences through time. Since the first topic is time, this makes a great connection. So if you think about it, everything in life tracks time, right? If you look at a plant, or you look at birds that have migrational paths, you look at trees when you cut them in half, hopefully you don't. There's beautiful trees outside. You'll see all the rings, and these rings tell you that this object has lived through time. And the really interesting thing is only us as humans can look at the tree rings, or look at a plant, or dig a core, you know, like a 50-meter core from the Arctic, and be able to tell things from it. We're able to tell stories, the effects of time. And part of culture is to preserve the past for the future learnings and understanding. That's really, really the important and the why for us as beings. But how do we measure time? That's a very important question. Well, maybe you have a wristwatch. This is one of the first oldest recorded wristwatch. Or you have something like this in your house, an atomic clock that measures time, never sways away from any milliseconds. Or you have one of these. I don't know if you still own one of these, but use your computer to tell time, right? But what's really interesting is if you look at the blockchain, specifically Ethereum, this is a very important block number, right? Block number 46,147. Why? It's because it's the first transaction for Ethereum mainnet in 2015. So interestingly, this is kind of the start of time as we know it. On-chain time as we know it only started about 8 years ago. Effectively, we are like 8 AD, while the rest of the world is in 2023. If you think about it for a second, that's 2,023 years of history, or actually more, because there's a lot of history before Christ. And so, for on-chain purposes, it's only been 8 years. And if you think about it, there's about 2.1 billion total events on Ethereum. That's about 8 events per second. That's not a lot. It may seem a lot, but I mean, if you look at everybody here at this festival and everyone, submitted a transaction, I mean, that's already like quite a lot, right? But we're still very, very early. If you think about it, most of our shared history when it comes to on-chain or blockchain or crypto has been centered around decentralized finance. It's been about Uniswap, OpenSea, MetaMask, 0x, 1inch, and Blur. If you look at it, art and culture is so small. And that's why we're all here. And that's why this festival, I think they told me it was like 700 people. In this room, there's probably 30 people. We're still very early. The population of Earth is about 7.8 billion, with 5.1 billion internet users. Pretty big numbers. Only 100 million crypto wallets exist. And these numbers are averages, of course. But you can see here non-web, web, and on-chain. Look how small it is, right? So I think the first thing I want to leave you with is we need to live more on-chain. We need to mint more. We need to create more tokens. We need to own more tokens. If we want to catch up with, I don't know, the hundreds of thousands of years of history, well, we're only 8 years in. So our duty as humans, as a species, is to create more NFTs, more tokens. And a lot of these tokens are mostly for record-keeping purposes, the preservation of history, rather than speculation and trying to make a lot of money. This is where we want to get to, right? This is kind of like the end goal for us is to really balloon the art and culture and the DeFi stuff for whoever that's interested, and they kind of hang out in that small little pod, right? So IRL has 2015 years of narratives and reference materials. You could go to the library and learn and read books that are super old. But how do we change this equation around? Like, we started going through this thought exercise of like, okay, are we restricted by time here, or can we do something about it? I kind of refer to this video that I find really inspirational. It's from Virgil, rest in peace. And in this video, he talks about the candle that he's holding. And the candle, he says, and I'm gonna abridge it, is like, if you see this candle in an all-white gallery space, it's a piece of art. If I put it in a garage, you'll think it's trash because it's dented. And so he really talks about designing the environment that surrounds the object. So we already talked about objects, which is tokens, right? But what is the environment? Currently, this is kind of what it looks like, right? The environment on the blockchain is consistent. You have a block that exists, it's consistent, right, for Ethereum. And then you have all these crazy people launching tokens all day long, right? Meme coins to NFTs to artists minting music NFTs. And so one of the thought exercises that I want to leave you guys with, because we don't really have an answer here, but it's more of like, think about designing the space, the environment. And the biggest question is, what if we design time instead of tokens? What if we're able to actually manipulate time on chain and really affect the history of things? Can we create more enriching narratives? What if we could kind of do this, where time is not constant, that each block is not 30 seconds, 15 seconds after another one? What if time is jumping in between all sorts of things? What if there's a blockchain that time is not constant? As you can see in the transactions there, this is just a conceptual idea that we're working on. But you can see that 35 seconds ago, March 22nd, 1912 was the timestamp. And then 30 seconds ago is January 4th, 1989. What we're looking at here in regards to on-chain is time jumping. And why do we need a blockchain like this? That's a very great question. I think it's because we need to really think deeply about the medium and the objects and play with both parameters, right? It's not enough to just launch NFTs on a blockchain. It's more importantly to think about the space that surrounds it. We have a project that we're exploring. We encourage anyone who has thoughts on this idea. We call it temporarily Project Northlake. That's a location in Waterloo that we had this idea. But the idea of time jumping a blockchain that is not time consistent is an idea that we openly want people to contribute, or if you have ideas, we'd love to talk to you. So theory 1 is live more on chain, create more content. Theory 2 is design spaces and environments, or design time in this specific example. If we change the variable of time, can we unlock new narrative meanings for digital objects? That's the biggest question here. All right, so that's time. We got the internet, and then we go on NPCs, right? So we're midway through. We're doing great. It's 10 minutes. All right, we're going to talk about really interesting things. So written records of history. Cuneiform, which is actually the inspiration. We had Eugene Angelo. He worked on the logo for FP. It was inspired by looking at cuneiforms. And so this is some of the earliest recorded history, about 4,000 years ago from the Sumerians. And it was a way for people, as you know, to note down information, to pass it down in a written format. And if you think about it, since the invention of the printing press in the 1400s, this is a little bit old. Google, there's only one stat from Google Books, but 2010. But there's about 129 million books published using the printing press. That's a lot of books, right? 129 books, you could probably fill up this whole theater. If you think about it, where's most of human history stored, right? Most of it is in libraries around the world. Most of it is in museums or archives. And that's kind of where these books live. But as the human population grows, we've grown since the printing press 20 times, right, since the 1400s. Why hasn't the creation of books scaled, right? The information, where's the information? As people grew, where are we putting all of our thoughts? Well, it's going online, right? So here you can see, this is an older stat, but all the people who are coming online, they're getting computers, getting phones. And the really powerful thing is that there's 5,000 more websites than the world's books. I'll let that sink in for a second. 5,000 more websites, right? That's a tremendous amount of, a lot. And then you could see in the graph it's slowly growing more and more and more. If you want to, I'm a person that really likes to think about physical locations. So this is about 16,410 libraries of Congress from the DC. It's about the same size of the entire LA and New York. That's the internet knowledge that exists in the geography. It's a lot. But it's certainly not the entire geography of Earth. Most of the world's knowledge, as we all know, is increasingly moving online. You look at something like ChatGPT or GPT. They fed about 1.5 billion data sources for GPT-2. That was 2019. And then that went to 175 billion data sources for GPT-3, which is ChatGPT. And then GPT-4, they're aiming for 100 trillion data points, which is, as you can see here, a huge amount of information. So there's more information now than a single human can comprehend. There's no way in your lifetime that you can read all or absorb all of this knowledge unless you put the neural link in your head and then maybe you could just download the information like the Matrix. But it's really important that our ability to record history is part of the important advancement of humankind. It's one of the most crucial roles we can play through the entire lifetime. But we have to talk about a very serious problem here, right? If we're about to record our information and knowledge and create content, we have to talk about public infrastructure versus private industries, right? So public infrastructure, I think you guys all know, is like bridges, roads, how you drove here, right, up to the mountain, national parks, the internet, email, Wikipedia, blockchains, at least some of them, cryptocurrency. This is all great. We all use these services, right? We all appreciate it. Imagine you had to walk here from LA because the roads are bad. That would be horrible. Private industries, well, I think we all know. We're kind of creating a lot of content, a lot of information, a lot of knowledge that's part of our human culture that is going into some of these companies. What we stand to lose? Well, we know about social networks that have shut down. We know about websites that have shut down. That's why there's the Wayback Machine and the Internet Archive. We know about all these types of private companies where maybe it doesn't align with investors, and they get shut down. And every time it gets shut down, it's like part of human history just evaporates. We lose all of our memories, even though it may be silly, like Vine videos. It's part of our history, but it's gone. And so it's really important when you think about the internet, like as we create more content, how do we preserve it? Can we use more public infrastructure, right? So as you think about it, record history on public infrastructure, that's really the key thing. Put more things on chain, and I think that in 100 years, 1,000 years, people in the future can really reference back and be like, wow, like look at this weird NFT, or look at this kitty cat that you can breed on chain. That's part of the whole mission that we're on. Humans are not the only ones, and now we're going to transition to NPCs. This is where it gets really interesting. Humans are not the only ones who can create new forms of on-chain history. So even though everyone here probably has a phone and a computer, and we beg you all day long to download a MetaMask and like do a transaction, right? But we know that in the future, it's not going to be relied just on humans. We have things, at least in the internet, we call them bots, right? We call them programs or algorithms, right? But we're moving into this future where there's a new idea of NPCs. If you play video games like Zelda or Mario or World of Warcraft, there are characters that you can talk to, right? And they give you missions and quests, and they're not too smart, right? And so that NPC is really important. Imagine you played Zelda and there's no characters to talk to. It's kind of weird, right? You're just like walking around aimlessly, and what are you doing in this world? So as we construct these digital worlds, we need to start populating it more with humans and also NPCs. This is kind of where we're going to enter into the NFT stuff. So we see this transition from JPEGs, which you can view, share, like, NFTs that were created and launched in 2017 with me and the team, which has entirely focused on buy-sell trade mostly. And now we're moving into this movement with NPC, where it is an NFT, but you can use it, you can interact with it, and you could program it. So what does NPC mean? For us, it means networked playable characters. This is really important. So network, you're connected by a community, and you also be shared by a collective state. Every action that you take is a part of the public record of history. So that's network. Playable, the unique on-chain actions that can be taken by the owner usually results in a sense of control and emotional delight when performed, could also be for productivity reasons. And characters or tokens, a fictional or non-fictional avatar or token which the owner can operate and control. The owner can be human, AI-assisted human, or an AI. So that's what NPC really means to us when we start to imagine the future. So how does it all work? Now I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty. We have our good friend here who's going to help us explain a lot of these things, these concepts. So what we've done as a team here as Future Primitive is we've given every single NFT its own wallet or account. If you own NFTs right now, in your Ledger, in your MetaMask, in your Rainbow wallet, in your Coinbase wallet, they all have their own wallets. That means an NFT can own an NFT, could own an NFT, could own an NFT, and so on and so forth. We call these token-bound accounts. As you can see here, a CryptoKitty, the first one, the Genesis Kitty that we officially sold, that's its address. We have a wrapped CryptoPunk, you got an Azuki. They all have addresses now, and they're different from your MetaMask. So if you want to get more, we're going to more technical areas, but ERC 6551, something to look into later. It's a new Ethereum standard that we authored and we're the maintainers of. And so what it does is instead of linking every existing NFT with its own smart contract account, we're using a decentralized registry where it basically assigns the NFT with a wallet. So why is this cool? I think everybody's just like, all right, well, NFT has a wallet, but like who gives, right? Well, it gives 3 new properties to NFTs: asset ownership, social identity, and action potential. Asset ownership. Your NFT in this diagram, what you're seeing is a noun that owns a clone X, that owns a monolith, and so on and so forth. This is actually showing ownership chain. Your NFT can now own ETH, USDC, ERC20, ERC721, any token. That's super interesting, right? Number 2 is social identity. So you probably have used OpenSea or any kind of dApp where you connected your wallet. Usually you select MetaMask or Coinbase. As of right now, you can actually connect as your NFT. So instead of logging in as your MetaMask, you can log in as your Doodles, as your Moonbird, and you can actually use that identity on these applications and do transactions. That's super mind-blowing, at least for us, because you no longer need to be your MetaMask. You can be the character that you want to be. So you could do a bunch of things: connect to dApps, sign transactions, execute transactions. I could use my Azuki can be on Uniswap making trades. Action potential. So this is where we enter into the NPC area. So now that an NFT, we all know that it has the ability to have assets and stuff. We could link it with an AI model, like an LLM. And now that's where we actually make that bridge where your NFT not only has a wallet, but it has an AI model where now it can perform actions on chain automatically. You could imagine a future where you just talk like ChatGPT to your NFTs like Doodles, right? Like, hey, Doodle number 5, I want you to pick the best Uniswap trades. And then the Doodle goes there and does all the trades. Or you're like, hey, Azuki, I want you to be a music collector. Can you find the best music NFTs on Sound and then buy it for me? And then your NFT might be like, hey, I need an allowance of like 1 ETH. And you're like, okay, cool. And then it does it for you, right? We're getting into this future where all the NFTs that are in your cold storage, now they're actually living things. They are NPCs. It's more than NFTs. So why does it all matter? Well, we want to make NFTs more non-fungible. I think this is kind of funny because non-fungible says non-fungible tokens, but we have people like Blur and other marketplaces that are making NFTs into commodities where the picture doesn't matter. The picture is so small. It's not even about the art. It's just about data. What we want to do is make the picture as big as possible. We want to make these NPCs do crazy things on chain, and then it really makes it non-fungible. We want to maximize functionality and minimize speculation. I know this is like, of course. But I mean, as you can see in this current downturn, it's because speculation got out of hand. And with token-bound accounts and all of this, this is our way as a collective, as a movement, as an ecosystem to push back. And we can create new worldly experiences. So remember when I mentioned Zelda, where it's empty worlds? Well, you can have these NPCs hanging out in Decentraland. You could have these NPCs in, whichever you want to call it, metaverses or autonomous worlds. And now you go in there, and now you're talking to Doodle number 5, you're talking to Zuki 66, and you're like, yo, this is pretty cool. Like they're like giving you quests and stuff, right? So it's really important. Coexistence between humans and NPCs, especially on-chain, is a really important thing. We're on a similar mission. We're basically here to create culture. We're all in the same era of the internet. So we need to be equal participants. And with token-bound accounts, we've given NFTs the same properties that a human can have. In conclusion, takeaways. So what is our role in creating on-chain culture? Live on-chain more, create more content. Number 2, design new environments. You could play with time, play with any variable. Number 3 is use public infrastructure. Number 5 is, I'm counting wrong. Number 4, record human history on-chain. That's really important. Number 5 is NFTs are more than just JPEGs. And last but not least is we should welcome the new on-chain participants that are NPCs. So, that concludes my talk. Future Primitive is here. Come say hello. We're also going to be hanging out and enjoying. But thank you for sticking around for my talk. Really appreciate it.